Andrew Denton is a well-known face on the ABC, of course, with Enough Rope, and now with his new TV venture, of course, David Tench on Channel 10. He's also got a great movie, God on My Side, which is coming out very soon, and he's here in Perth, and we're talking to him on the couch. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Thank you, Fred. Lovely to be on your couch.
It's amazing to have you in Perth, because you've been someone that I consider a legend when it comes to interviewing, because I'm not saying I'm as good as you, but like you, I like to interview people ad-lib. Mm-hmm. And I think it works best if you ask the questions you want to ask rather than be driven by a sheet of paper. But we're here to talk about your new movie first.
Sure.
God on My Side.
Yep.
What was involved in making the movie, and what was your reason for making it?
Reason, first of all, was an interest in Christian fundamentalism in an age where we're quite understandably looking at Islamic fundamentalism. And I was fascinated with where absolute faith takes people. And it was an opportunity to go into George Bush's actual heartland. The Christian evangelists have 40% of his vote. They're the reason he's in the White House. So this wasn't just any group of Christians, they're a very particular group. What was involved in making it? Well, it was a bit of a guerrilla raid. It was a 4-day convention, so that's all the time we had to shoot.
How hard was it for you to be let into... I know I've watched the movie,
yeah,
but we don't know what went behind the movie. Were you prevented from doing certain things, or were you able to have free run?
No, we were very welcomed, and everybody said, "Are you a religious broadcaster?" And I was very upfront and said, "No, we're secular broadcasters." But they were really good conversations. It was a nice convention to be at. The only difficulty we ran into was the actual president of the National Religious Broadcasters. That's the convention, which has an audience of 140 million Americans. We arranged an interview with him. It was all agreed to, and then while we were there they cancelled it and didn't reschedule it, and we didn't find out till we got back to Australia that was actually some Australians had gone to them and said, "Don't talk to this man." I don't know why, but presumably they thought I was going to be closed-minded.
Was it hard for you to take that role and go over to the US and do such a documentary movie?
It required a lot of discipline because people have said to me, "Well, why didn't you argue about their views on homosexuality?" And there are any number of things that you could take issue with, and all of which are worthy of a documentary in their own. But the discipline I set myself was to almost do the opposite of a Michael Moore film. Step back from being the guy there saying, "You think this, and now look at this." I want the audience to look at what these people think, because that's what it's about absolute faith and extreme beliefs from a Christian point of view. And I've been very pleased that Christians that have come to see the film, by and large, have said, "We thought you were going to take the mickey, but you didn't."
I have to say, I watched the movie the other day, and that was one of the things that I caught on very quickly with, that you don't give an opinion. You go there and you let them do all the talking, the people you're interviewing. They talk about the religion and their beliefs, and not until the end do you give a bit of a line about going to hell. And that was a bit of a comedy sketch, I suppose. I thought you did it very well, that you didn't give an opinion, because with religion it's always the old, religion, sex and politics.
Yeah, don't talk about it.
Don't talk about it. Was it a hard thing to make? Did you find it particularly hard?
Hard in a good way. These people were so interesting, and I hadn't been in this world before. So to hear, as people said to me constantly, for instance, "Yes, George Bush is God's man," at this hour, it's like, wow.
Did you believe it? Did you believe that it was? I mean, seeing it for yourself and being there yourself, do you believe everything they said to you was to be true?
I believe they believe it,
yeah.
Absolutely, and I think that's the point, that there are some very extreme views expressed there, and there is one editorial comment in the film that's right at the end, and it's the quote from Jesus Christ, which is, "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I've loved you." And that's my way of saying, isn't this what it's supposed to be about? Because a lot of the people I spoke to in the room, they're Christian, they believe themselves to be Christian, but there's all sorts of people that they would damn to hell. Homosexuals, people that have abortions, anyone that... the scariest thing is their belief that we're in the last days, the end days. And the Bible tells them that, therefore, America must support Israel no matter what, even if it involves them being martyred or nuclear weapons, not because they support Israel politically, but because the Bible tells them the only way they can get to heaven, not the Israelis, not anyone else, is for America to protect Israel.
There's three brothers in the movie. I forget the names.
The McDuff brothers, yeah.
I'm amazed you held a straight face. Was there a lot of outtakes? Because
No.
the hair joke got me.
People say that, and their hair is extraordinary hair, and it does appear to have toured America independently of them. But no, it wasn't hard to hold a straight face.
What were they like away from the camera?
They were as they were. They were charming and sort of down South Americans. But, they were in many ways the embodiment of the film. These are loving Christians who at the same time believe that 9/11 was God's punishment to America, who can't even say the word homosexual because homosexuals are the spawn of Satan, who actually say there is only one way to get to heaven and it's not Buddha and it's not Muhammad, and who ultimately say when asked, how do you know you're right? And the older brother says, well, I know that I know that I know. And when I say to him, well, what if I held up a Quran and was a man of Islam and said the same thing to you? Why wouldn't I be right? His response is, that's not the word of God. Now, bingo, Clash of Civilizations right there. Yep. That's every bit as fundamental and even if it's expressed more charmingly than somebody who holds up any other book and says, there's only one truth and if you're not with me, you're going to hell.
Now, the movie's an ABC film.
Yep.
So obviously it's helped you fund the movie
yes.
and get over there. How long is it running for? When is it coming out for people to go out and watch it?
Opens in Perth on November the 2nd. Opens nationally November the 2nd. And I guess it's in the, dare I say it, the lap of the gods, how long it runs.
If you could convince those people in that camera, the people watching, to go and watch it, can you give them some reasons for watching the movie? What would they get from the movie? Well,
look, I think this is the biggest issue of our time. The war on terror, where we're in an age, we're on the brink of the clash of civilizations, and if it's about religion, and that seems to be the fuel, then ultimately it's going to be about my invisible friend can beat your invisible friend. And I think it's really important in an age where unreason and fear are beginning to take hold, to be aware of the extreme voices, to be able to identify them. And this will surprise people because we know, we've seen those extreme voices from the Islamic world. These aren't the same voices. I'm not suggesting for a second that Christian fundamentalism has the same way of expressing itself as Islamic fundamentalism, but they do have, there are similarities, and it is that absolute claim to truth and the totally unbreakable willingness to condemn other people to hell for not being